Another one is global wildlife trade.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Well, we're trying to look at patterns of wildlife trade that include a risk of new diseases emerging. So we're doing a couple of things really. So one is around SARS. We focused on SARS coronavirus emerged from a wildlife market and was the first pandemic of this century. So it's a big event. So we started to trace back from the wildlife market which species carried the virus that came into those markets. We found that it was bats, not civets, was the original idea.
Right.
So then we started looking, where did they come from? And we went out to southern China and did surveillance of bats across southern China. And we've now found, after 6 or 7 years of doing this, over 100 new SARS-related coronaviruses, very close to SARS. Some of them get into human cells in the lab. Some of them can cause SARS disease in humanized mouse models and are treatable with therapeutic monoclonals, and you can't vaccinate against them with the vaccine. So these are a clear and present danger.
Yeah.
We've even found people with antibodies in Yunnan to SARS-related coronaviruses, so there's a human exposure.
Right.
We're now doing surveillance. We're just beginning another 5 years of work to look at cohorts in southern China to say, well, how frequent does this spillover happen, and is it associated with disease? Because I expect, just like Nipah in Bangladesh, there are dozens and dozens of small spillovers going on the planet at any one time, which we just never see.
Sure. Yeah, they never amplify. There are a few cases, and they're just absorbed in the illness, the overall illness of the population, right?
Now, you could say, so who cares? And that's one argument. But our strategy is any one of those could become pandemic. There's a lot of stochasticity in what happens then.
Yeah.
So if we look at all of them, understand patterns, try and reduce the number of spillover events we've got,
But if you're saying these are diverse coronaviruses and you can't vaccinate against them, there are no antivirals, what do we do?
Well, so I think that coronaviruses are pretty good. I mean, you're a virologist, you know all this stuff, but you can manipulate them in the lab pretty easily. It's just spike protein drives a lot of what happens with the coronavirus, zoonotic risk. So you can get the sequence, you can build the protein, and we work with Ralph Barrick at UNC to do this. Insert it into a backbone of another virus, and do some work in the lab. So you can get more predictive when you find a sequence. You've got this diversity. Now, the logical progression for vaccines is, if you're going to develop a vaccine for SARS, people are going to use pandemic SARS as
sure.
But let's try and insert some of these other related and get a better vaccine.
And I guess also knowledge of what's there. If you see something emerging, you give it a head start on making a vaccine or a therapeutic.
That's true, and better knowledge of where they are as well, so you can put your money into these clinics that matter. And that's one of the big things that we've been trying to push. There's a lot of the word predict, or the word anticipating, forecasting pandemics. It doesn't mean you can stop them. That's the problem. So what we're trying to do is say, on a global scale, if we can show where they're most likely to come from, the species they're most likely to originate in, the people most likely to get affected, a global actor like WHO or a national government can better allocate resources to the highest risk. It's pretty simple.
So you're doing a lot of activities. Those are just a few of all the ones you can find. How do you know if you're getting results? I know you publish things, right?
Yeah.
Are there any other metrics you use?
Yeah, well, you're very good at asking the right questions there, because we're doing our strategic plan right now, and our board has said to us, you need to monitor and evaluate better, and it's true. It's notoriously hard to monitor conservation success, and I think this is a similar problem. You've got near-term indicators, like number of people you've trained in villages. We designed these books called Living Safer with Bats, Living Safer with Wildlife, translate them into 20-odd different languages, and we educate folks in villages on these high-risk interfaces how to avoid spillover, basically. So near-term indicator, how many people have you taught in community outreach?
Yeah.
But the real indicators are, have you prevented infections? Or have you had a policy change in a government that reduces risk? And we've done that. I mean, it takes a few years, but we have. You know, we got the amphibian disease chytridiomycosis listed as a notifiable disease with OIE.
Right.
We've got, you know, the Sabah government is blocking building into some road building into some of these forests based on the health side. So there is success, but it takes a long time.
So you talked about these books, Living
Safely with Bats.
Can people get those somewhere?
I think you get them on our website. Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Download
Take a look.
whatever language you.
All right.